Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Sunday services at Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. We are a loving and prospering community in the heart of Denver and online. We now conduct hybrid services at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place, located at 216 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. All are welcomed here. A place, space, and face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles that enrich our lives. We are grateful that you have blessed us with your presence. While online, we'd love to know you're watching with us. Feel free to leave a comment and let everyone appreciate you. With everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. CSL Denver wants you to know we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for personal prayer work. Our licensed spiritual practitioners' names and phone numbers are available on our website at csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, feel free to email it to info@csldenver.org. For your convenience, you'll find clickable links in the description of this broadcast. Rev Elzia, along with all our guest speakers, practitioners, service coordinators, and musical inspirations, want you to know how truly grateful we are that you are with us today. Thank you for your continued support and participation in our services, workshops, and events, as well as providing financial contributions to our center. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Sign up by visiting www.csldenver.org. We deliver services in a hybrid format where we meet in person at 216 South Grant Street. We will also continue to live stream all services on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday. Find us on our respective channels as well as on New Thought Media Network. Again, thank you for your precious attention. Now prepare for engaging enlightenment.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. light and love. You can't have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Rumi. I'm not Giselle, and I'm not a Pellikan. But she's not able to be here, so I'm filling in. If you're able to please close your eyes, let us just say a small prayer. Our theme today is crossing the threshold, growing beyond the comfortable. I think today's reading about love says a lot about the courage to love, not only loving an individual partner, but our individual selves and all of humanity. And as we go through this service, I bless all the people who are here, who are online, who are unable to be here, and particularly the message our minister has for us today. A story from Alan Cohen called Why Peacocks Honk. One morning, a pair of peacocks showed up at the back door of our home in the country and adopted us. We have no idea where they came from. The mated pair were never more than a few feet apart. The two were quiet, curious, and glorious to behold, so we decided to let them stay. We named them Romeo and Juliet. One afternoon, I walked out onto the patio and startled Juliet. Flustered, she flew to the other side of the house, out of Romeo's sight. She began to honk loudly, and Romeo responded. They tried to locate each other by honking repeatedly for about 20 minutes, until Juliet found her way back around the house to a glorious reunion. Those two birds taught me a supreme lesson about love and relationships. Their natural state, I realized, was togetherness. When they got separated, they were out of their natural state, and the honking began. They were calling to their beloved. When you feel lonely, separate, or outside love, your pain and what you do in pain is your honk to be reunited with your beloved. It's the same for the people who honk to you. What we do from joy expresses love. What we do from fear is a call for love. We have all been separated from good, love, and ourselves. In truth, we are not separate at all, but it feels that way. Our searching and reaching out is our honking to be reunited. We just want to go home, and until we get there, we keep honking. If you have a Valentine, honk to get a little closer. If you don't have a Valentine this year, honk to get a little closer to yourself. The wonderful thing about love is that you can shine it at anything and anyone, including, maybe especially, yourself. And when you do, the honk stops and the great reunion begins. And a quote from A Course in Miracles, which says, where there is a call for love, you must give it because of what you are. And Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind reminds us that spirit knows only perfection. This isn't a call to pretend we are flawless. It's a call to see ourselves through the lens of divine wholeness. When we align our thinking with spirit, we begin to dissolve the harsh societal standards and rest in deeper, unchanging truth. We are already enough. And now, here's Bob Sima with his song, Raise the Vibe. So it is.
There's a shadow on the wall. There's a bomb about to fall. There's a knocking on the door. It's not so gentle anymore. And there's a bird about to fly. There's a herd on the run. It's beginning to be so clear they might know something that we don't. And there's a rising of the tide. There's an anger in the sky. There's a frequency and vibration that will not be denied. And there's a phone about to ring. It's a call we got to take. It's a message from the future, a blast from the past, and it's calling out your name to light your fire. Fan your flame. Do what you must be, still be strong, be bold, be brave, and meditate. Go to your altar. It starts inside. Raise your hands, raise your heart, raise your voice, raise your thoughts, raise the vibe. Raise the vibe. Everything we thought we knew is all up for review. Everything gonna change for the better. It's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. And we've sang this song before. We danced all over this floor. But the whisper we heard in the breeze, my friend, it turned into a roar. To light your fire, fan your flame. Do what you must be, still be strong, be bold, be brave, and meditate. Go to your altar. It's up inside. Raise your hands, raise your heart, raise your voice, raise your thoughts, raise the vibe. Raise the vibe. Raise the vibe. Raise the vibe. Every hand you touch, every eye you see, every breath you take, every word you speak, every truth will begin to rise, every lie will finally die, and the end will come to the fear and shame. Everything will be called out by its name. No, nothing hides and nothing slides, and only love survives.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I hope your vibe has risen just a little bit as we take forth this day, this first day of February, this new moon day, this big full moon, which is even better. And this first day of Black History Month.
Yes.
So welcome and good morning to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love, a spiritual community teaching ancient wisdom and utilizing principles that empower our lives and the lives of others. Notice what I said, our lives and the lives of others, because it is now a time for everybody to have a vibration rising. To rise above the muck and the mire and all the things that appear to be impediments or not stepping stone, more like stumbling blocks to keep us from realizing who we are and creating a world that works for all. So as we begin this journey, if it feels comfortable to just close your eyes and allow me to create this container where the spirit resides. Infinite Spirit, that source of all possibilities, we welcome your presence this morning in this place and in our hearts, and know that you are in charge of all things. May every thought we think today be aligned with clarity. May every word spoken here today be rooted in truth. And may every action we take allow us to step into a place of healing and justice and expansion, so that we can step into the divine idea of who we are. We affirm and stand on sacred ground, knowing that change is possible. Change is possible. Therefore, we send blessings to every person who hears this message, everyone who sees a video or pick up a word from what's being said today that allows us to move in a way of continuous transformation, the process of becoming, and so it is. Amen. And so today, as we begin this journey, we stand at the threshold of change. Believe it or not. Regardless of the circumstances and the conditions that may appear to weigh us down, or that appear to be stumbling blocks into reaching our true potential, we take this moment to realize that we are on the edge of something new. Something is flowing, a doorway that is there for us to negotiate or navigate. And as we walk into this month's theme of embracing the edge, you know, I'm quite sure that most of us here, whether we've accomplished it or tried it, have tried a 14er once or twice in Colorado. That's just a thing. And I'm sure we've all got to the top of one or close to the top of the one, and we kind of peeked over the edge, and there was no embracing, because it was like, ooh, if I fall, if I stumble, if I slip, this might be a problem. But when you can get to the top of that mountain and take a deep breath and realize the journey that it took to get there, and allow yourself to just take it in, when you look across the edge from that perspective, there's a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling of hope, a feeling that there is nothing that can't be overcome or can't be achieved. And so we want to start that idea for this month's theme of embracing the edge, and look at crossing the threshold. Now, all the way up the mountain, there were many thresholds. There was the threshold of getting out the bed and getting in the car and driving to the mountain. There was the threshold of getting out the car where you just said, well, I'm just going to go get breakfast. I'm not going. It was a nice ride. It was scenic. The sun was rising. I'm going to go get some breakfast. And every step along the way, there was a threshold. There was a doorway for us to cross. Now, sometimes that can be a challenge, right? Because, you know, it's comfortable to stay in the bed in the morning when it's warm and it's dark, and I don't have to do a lot. I can just kind of settle into it. But that's not the charge, if you will. That's not our daily mission. It is to get up and move, to get up and move, and to go beyond what's comfortable. Beyond what's comfortable. I would submit that each and every one of us has had a moment where we came to that threshold, where we came to that doorway, and we took a breath. Wasn't a breath of joy, though. Wasn't a breath of accomplishment. It was a breath of fear. It was a breath of what do I do? How do I move? And that doorway sometimes appears as a new job opportunity, or a new relationship, or negotiating something about myself that I know for a fact, not an idea, but for a fact, I need to let go. But we always have, I think, at least one voice of the many voices that can appear, that one that says in many different ways, fear is the dominant thing here. You can't do it. You're not enough. They got better skills. They got better tools. They got more money. They got more power. And we crumble at that doorway. We crumble at that doorway. And it is moments like this where we have settled into a container or a pattern or a way of living that's just comfortable. We just settle in. And every time I think about this for myself, I think about the idea of the bamboo plant. You know, there are many stories about the bamboo plant, some real, some not, but this one is real. If you place a bamboo in a brand new pot, pretty decorated, it looks nice, it is not going to grow beyond the size of that container, because it understands how to distribute its roots so that it can grow. And if it gets to the edge of that container, it becomes somewhat comfortable, or at least it doesn't try to grow beyond its container. And I know for myself, and it might be true for some of you, I've found myself in a nice, pretty, decorated, expensive container. I went to the best potting store and I got the best soil and I got the brightest colors and I put myself in it, and there I stayed. Very little possibility for growth, very little possibility for change. But the interesting thing was that at the end of that pot, there was a threshold that said, if you want to grow, you got to get out this pot. You got to let go of all the old habits and all the old things that may be comfortable, just like that bed in the morning. And this morning, it was pretty nice. Some of y'all might realize that when y'all saw me walk in here a little late. But this idea of moving beyond this threshold, it really becomes a doorway into your future, a doorway into what's possible. Now, that fear, sometimes it shows up as being judged, or not liked, or a loss of love, or sometimes it's fear of success. Yes, success. We all claim we want success. I want to be successful in this, that, and the other. But there's oftentimes, and in some cases, there's most times that success that we're looking for is so fearful that we are afraid to cross the threshold to embrace it, to take it on, to allow ourselves to move beyond that edge. That edge. You know, some of you may have seen this the other day. I forget the young man's name, but over in I think it was Singapore, he climbed this 106-story building. Like, I don't know how many feet it was, but I know 106 stories is way up there. Without a harness, without a guide rope, just chalk him in a threshold. Every grab, every footstep, every movement up that building was a threshold. And had he got to the point to where he let the fear paralyze him for 1 nanosecond, that could have been a problem. That could have been a serious problem. But there was something in the back of his mind, I'm sure. Now, I ain't talked to him yet. I wish I could. But I could just sense there was something in the back of his mind that says each one of these stumbling blocks, these thresholds, these doorways awaken something within me to really understand the power and presence of the divine in any situation. Now, I probably could have did it for the first floor. I may have even tried the second floor. I may have fell and twisted my ankle or something, but beyond the second floor, I would have been done. I would have been completely done. And why? Stress would have been one. Appearances would have been another. Oftentimes we call things bad timing, but it's not really bad timing. We're trying to avoid something. That would have been a good one. Trying to avoid God knows what, the least of falling off the building. And sometimes we take that stand of saying, well, I'm not quite ready, right? Which is really, I believe, sometimes this idea that we have this greater wisdom that the timing is not right. All times are right times. There is no time better than another time as long as you're in alignment with the divine flow. You don't start planting, well, I was gonna say you don't start planting plants in the winter, but here in Colorado there's some of that this year. That might not be as true as it used to be. But there's this idea of when we reach these thresholds and when we reach these doorways, we shudder. Even if it's the doorway that we've been asking for, we've been praying for, we've been looking for. And if we are anywhat curious today or observant, and we look around the landscape or the container that we find ourselves in locally and globally, we understand we have reached the threshold. We have reached the doorway that we must summon the courage to move through. You think about this month being Black History Month. Think about the courage that some of those individuals had to take just to learn to read. To read. And now people don't even read no more. People gave up their lives to learn to read. And people say, oh, read a book? I saw a show the other day. Guy said, read a book? He asked the question. He was on Bill Maher's show. He said, how many blank pages are in here? Those are the ones I want to read. And Bill Maher said, oh, well, if you start at the chapter, sometimes the chapters start halfway down. So that's a good start for you, maybe. Read the first chapter of every page. I mean, you need to read the first chapter of the book, and then you at least get something. But we have lost this idea of engaging, of moving beyond our comfort zone. Fear. False evidence appearing real. Fear. Think about that. Think about a time when you were fearful to take a step, to move beyond, to get on the path, and not of your own doing, you stumbled maybe, or somebody pushed you, or you had no choice but to get on that path. And then once you got there, you were like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Matter of fact, it was pretty smooth. false evidence appearing real. There's the story I wanna highlight, this whole idea of going beyond the thresholds and comfort. It's the desert and the doorway. There was a young lady named Nina who lived in a desert, and just off a bit from the city, there was this gate, this doorway that she just looked at constantly. She worked in the market and it was close there, and she just looked at it. And there was nothing wrong with her life. She was making money, but everything was the same. Everything was, be quite honest, had gotten a little stale. She woke up, she did get out of bed, even without the comfort. She went to the market, she met people, and the thing that intrigued her the most was these travelers that came through that door with all types of stories and merchandise and all these things that happens beyond the door. And there was an elder one day who came to the market frequently, and she watched her, as elders do. They sit and watch folk. She walked up to her and says, "Why do you always keep staring at that doorway?" She said, "Well, I would love to go beyond it, but I don't know what's beyond it. I'm a little fearful, and so I just can't cross it." And so the elder sat there for a while and thought, and she said, "Every life has its own threshold. Every life. And if you don't take that first step with trust and faith, you will regret it for the rest of your life." And so the next morning, the young lady Nina, she got up and she took a different course to the market. Set the stage. She laid all her stuff out, then she packed a bag and gave all of her stuff to the person that was next to her and said, "Please take this and look after it. If I come back, great. If I don't, it's yours." So she walks to the door, and she's conjuring up in her mind this big heroic thing, and this thing that's gonna, set off fireworks and everything. She stepped across the threshold and she noticed nothing happened. At least so it seemed. Because when she sat with that, beyond all of the expectations, she realized the outer landscape had not changed. It was bigger vista and more things to look at. But what really happened when she took that first step was her inside changed. She got more courage. She thought about all the things she'd passed up her whole life by not being able to take that first true, faithful step beyond the threshold. And that's what we're being asked to do today. There comes a time when we have to move from the familiar to the unfamiliar, from the comfort to the uncomfortable. And I would say right now, if there's never been a time for that to take place, now is most definitely the time. It's most definitely the time. Now, I'm somewhat of a news. I don't know. I'm a news person. I was gonna say junkie, but that probably don't fit right. But I like to watch the news and be informed, so I can begin to create an awareness in my mind. And when I woke up this morning and I saw they had like a foot of snow in Myrtle Beach, not Myrtle Beach, in Charleston, South Carolina, I was like, ooh. And Charlotte, North Carolina, I said, boy, I know that part. I got relatives over there. The only white stuff they got over there is beach, sand beach on the sand, not snow. is a great indicator in my mind that says we're at a threshold. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, climately. I'm making up words as we go because everything says it's time for us to change, to step across the threshold, to embrace the edge, not in fear, but in excitement, in wonderment, in courage to get to the path of freedom, the path of success, the path of love, the path of overcoming. And this place is where we have to drop everything that no longer serves and move down the path only with what's necessary. Now just ask yourself, how many things do I have that are necessary? And what is the difference between necessary and required? That's an interesting question to ponder this week. The difference between what's necessary and what's required. Because there's a difference. There's a difference. It's necessary for me to be comfortable on the path, but it is required that I have a coat if I'm in the winter. It's not a necessity. It is a requirement. And we have to begin to differentiate between the two. And so as we move forward and we think about this idea of stepping across the threshold, I want to bring up this quote from what's her name? From Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke said this: the only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. That's what happens when we get to the threshold. We have to go from the known to the unknown, from the possible and move into the impossible. Because without that, we're lost. And that's what this teaching is about. It's about equipping us with information, ideas, concepts that allow us to grow and to move beyond that false evidence appearing real. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black History Month, he said this: if you can control a person's thinking, you do not have to worry about their actions. That was in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. If I can control your concepts and put you in a pattern of life and put you in a place where you're comfortable, or even if you're not comfortable, you're afraid to move beyond that, I don't need to do anything else. You'll take care of it. You'll stay as small as you can. You'll stay as quiet as you can. And these thresholds to your greater yet to be, they'll just go to waste. They'll go to waste. And so I'm going to give you three things that allow us to remember what happens or what we can do, and I dare say should do, when we get to those threshold moments. The first thing is this: to remember that comfort is a beautiful place, but nothing really grows there. Nothing happens in those places of comfort. We stay asleep. Comfort is seductive. Think about it. When you were in that bed this morning, it was seductive to just look up and turn over, not look over and get up. It felt safe. It was predictable. It was familiar. But just like that bamboo in the container, there comes a moment when that comfortableness has to be overcome. Because if it doesn't, I'm sure we have some planters and gardeners in here who may do some pot planting. If that plant reaches the end of that container, the roots will begin to dry up or become waterlogged or just rot. And then the plant ceases to exist. just by being comfortable. Thresholds require us to confront limitations and move forward with grace. Stop avoiding and start asking, why am I in fear of this new beginning? James Baldwin says this: not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until you face it. We have to face our fears. We have to face our limitations. We have to face these doorways with energy to move forward. With energy to move forward. And that sometimes is difficult, but we got to do it. And we have to change our perspective. The second thing is we need to change our perspectives of what these doorways or these thresholds are. They are not obstacles. They're invitations. They're invitations to grow, to expand, to look at things differently, to move out of our comfort zone. Those moments where that discomfort is really a disguise for invitation. Again, think about how many times you've been in a situation and you fretted for weeks, for months, dare I say years, before you took a step and you realized that it was the best thing that ever happened. And then you have to ponder, I had this invitation for a whole year and I didn't take it. Everything has changed now. How do we move beyond that? Just moving beyond that threshold. When we think about moving beyond that, I come to the conclusion that when I look at any spiritual teacher, whether it's Abraham who had to leave his family, whether it was Moses who had to cross the Red Sea, whether it was Jesus who had to go in the wilderness, or whether it was Buddha who had to leave the palace, they all had to step forward and look at that as an opportunity, not as an obstacle. As an opportunity, as an invitation to move beyond what was comfortable, especially Buddha was in the palace. Had everything he needed. And he said, I need to step beyond this gate. What's your gate? What's the palace that we're going to walk away from? The pattern of the universe is transformation. Period. There is nothing in the universe that has not transformed or continues to transform. So let's begin to work with that, to look at that. Joseph Campbell says this. Joseph Campbell says, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. So we have to take that invitation. We have to move. We have to move in a direction of our dreams. And last thing that we have to do as we negotiate these thresholds and doorways, we have to understand that growth requires surrender. Growth requires surrender. And then once you surrender, there's a second thing, and that is to step forward. Once we surrender from one thing, we have to step into another thing. Crossing this threshold is not just about stepping into something new. It's about releasing something old, something that no longer serves us, something that has kept us in a place that was comfortable, but at some point it lost its value. And we have to begin to realize that and shed that. Crossing this threshold is not just about stepping away from something, it's stepping into something. Anissa Nin, she was a writer. I'm sure a lot of you've heard this. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to bloom. That's what threshold moments are. Opportunities to bloom. Opportunities to step into trust. Opportunities to lean into spirit. It doesn't have to be something dramatic. Oftentimes it's not. It just requires some faith and trust. And so when we can begin to consciously remember that comfort is not always your friend, that you have to step beyond that comfort. Although greater society tells us we want to be comfortable. We want to go beyond the beach with a Corona, with a lime. we want to be comfortable. That gets old real quick. But when we realize that, now we understand that, okay, each of these moments is an opportunity, an invitation to move to something, to move beyond something. And then we just surrender to it. We surrender to it. So the invitation that we all have today, stop arguing for our limitations. Stop arguing for your limitations. I do it. I did it this morning. I argued for the limitations to stay in that bed. It didn't work for me. It just caused stress. And I'm glad I didn't get a ticket on the way over here because I was speeding. I'm gonna confess. But when we think about these opportunities, these threshold moments, I think this topic, this idea of embracing the edge during the month of Black History is genius. Because when you think about the many, many, many obstacles that Blacks had to face in this country just to be recognized for something other than property, took a lot of courage. It took a lot of stepping through doors and light. I mean, doors where there ain't been no light. And if they can do it, we can do it. We have far more assets. We have far more skill. I would sometimes question that, but you know, they say necessity is the motherhood of invention and creativity. And right now we are in a comfortable place, and those kinds of things don't come that easy, it seems. Excuse me. But we must begin to honor the thresholds and look at them appropriately and step into our wildest dreams. Step into our wildest dreams. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Mother God, that dual aspect of life that allows us to grow and flourish and to step into our true being. We know that everything in the universe is on a transformative journey that allows it to become something bigger and grander at each step of the journey. And so today we embrace this idea of crossing the threshold, of leaving the comfort and stepping into the uncomfortable, the unknown, the place of infinite possibilities. So it is in this time, in this moment, that we allow ourselves to be brave, if you will, to walk with faith and know that God is always there. Just remember that poem, Footprints. On those moments where it's tough, God will carry us through. Spirit will guide us and lead us in a place that is strong-footed. And so I give thanks for this understanding, for this education, for this idea, for this opportunity to move forward with truth and faith, to reach and meet each doorway, each threshold with courage and insight and awareness that all is well. regardless of circumstances, not diminishing the things that we see, but knowing that if I bring my true self to the table, we can overcome. We can overcome. And so it is in that I give thanks for this moment, this time, this opportunity to show up in full regalia, to be a servant of the divine. And I know that it is true. So I release it, I let it go, and it is already active in the mind of God. And so it is. Amen. And so there's call to actions always. And so for this week, the call to action is identify one threshold ready for crossing. We all got several, I'm sure. Set aside a quiet time this week to name the exact place where life is asking you to expand. And once you do that, then take one faithful and trusting step into your becoming. Choose a single action that moves you across the threshold. Send that email, make that call, enroll in that class, set the boundary, or begin the project. But whatever it is, do it. The first step of any journey is the hardest, but once you do it, it's there. And so the affirmation for this week to kind of anchor that in is, I bless where I've been and the container that got me there, and I boldly step into a greater expression of who I am. And I tried something new for this month, for Black History Month. I'm going to recommend this book by Howard Thurman, The Inward Journey. Howard Thurman was one of Martin Luther King's teachers at Morehouse University. His wisdom and understanding of things, I think, is profound. And so if you have an opportunity, you can go to the library, or you can, go to Amazon. I think it's a good book to set the tone for what it means to move beyond the edge. And so, as always, it's now that time for sacred giving. And so we thank everyone that's here, everyone that's online, for joining us and supporting this idea of growth and threshold crossing at CSL Denver. Whether you give in time, treasure, or talent, we appreciate it. And there are many different ways to give. If you look across the bottom of the screen, you can go to the website and push the donate button. You can text to give, or you can send a money order or check to the P.O. box, or participate right here in the center. But however you do, we appreciate it. And to anchor this idea into our being, if it feels comfortable, place your hand on your heart and repeat our affirmation. This perfect gift is spirit informed, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive, and so it is, amen. So it is, amen. And so now Alice is going to come up and give us some announcements, and we'll get on with the day.
Thank you, Reverend Elzia. Okay. Okay. Over here on the table, we have an information sheet, and it is, I don't know why our camera's being weird, but anyway, we send out weekly a MailChimp, and then we also post information on our website. So Reverend Elzia's call to action and affirmation slides are put on there every week. So if you didn't catch it here today, then you can do that, and we'll see about taking the blue out of it. I'm not sure why I did that, but anyway. And also over here we've got some magnetic bookmarks that Tim donated, and some CSL Denver pens, and we also have our prayer area. So if you need a prayer, feel like you need a prayer in your life, we've got some prayer request forms there, and the practitioners will take them home and treat for you during the week and do some affirmative prayer. We also have the latest January, February Science Mind magazine. We've got 2 left. They're on sale for $10. And we also have older magazines that are free to take. So if you want to take some home and read up on them, that's just fine and dandy with us. And today, right after service, we'll have some coffee and cake. Today is Teresa's birthday, and so we'll wish her a happy birthday, and then we'll circle up and have a meditation and coffee. So join us for our mindfulness moment meditation, where we will focus on quieting the mind and being fully present in the now without judgment. And we've got our curiosity corner in the back. We have a bunch of books, tapes, CDs, Oracle cards, and all of that. We have a bargain basement over here, and everything on that table is $1. Everything over here, there's a price thing, but nothing is, I think, over $5. So, help yourself, please. And we are so blessed to have New Thought Media Network and Diego as our Sunday service producer. We invite you to go to www.ntmedia.org and check out what they have. There's something for everyone. They've got radio programs. Reverend Elzia and Reverend Robert do a thing on Tuesdays at 2:00 where they have discussions, and then also on Friday mornings ministers talking sugar, as he says. So we are truly blessed by everyone who has chosen to support CSL Denver by showing up on Sundays or watching our services online. We know that as we move through the rest of this year, the Divine Beloved is guiding and loving each and every one of us. And remember that. I know this year is just, it feels like January has been 365 days. And so we've still got another 11 months to go. So please just know that we are here to support you, however, and know that the Divine Beloved is holding you. And now let's close out with Karen Drucker singing, I Am So Grateful.
Hey, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that